Hey Luke, do you like being woke?
No, I hate it.
Ah, well, in that case, I've got some bad news for you. From Pop Faction, Sydney Sweeney has earned 4 flop movies, with 3 of them being box office releases, the most for any actor in 2025. Now, Luke, can you name those 4 movies?
No, and I do not want to.
Christie, because it's about a female boxer, which
Yeah.
doesn't sound very traditional to me.
No, it doesn't. It does not at all. Yeah, Sydney Sweeney.
Women shouldn't be boxing.
Yeah, exactly. Where Sydney Sweeney's been getting some backlash online for basically not condemning white supremacy. It was a very weird interview. I don't know, like what her deal is. Honestly, is she just very dumb, or is she actually racist? Who knows?
I will say this. I am personally team dumb. I think that she does seem kind of dumb.
Well, her whole family are Republicans. I mean, to be honest, it could be both. But yeah, it's interesting how she's very popular on Instagram, for instance, but that does not translate to box office success, because I think the people who really like her and follow her on Instagram aren't really interested in her acting, to be honest, unless it's like
a porno,
unless it's Showgirls, yeah, which I was that's the way to get her box office, to have some more box office success.
Honestly, if she was in Showgirls, I wouldn't condemn white supremacy. Hello and welcome to Select and Reflect, the movie review podcast where we look at films that have come out in the near and distant past, we give them a couple of watches and evaluate them beyond first impressions. I'm your host Michael, and I'm joined as always by my co-host Luke, and this week we are celebrating the 15-year anniversary of the release of the movie Twilight, Eclipse. We've of course already looked at the previous 2 Twilight movies, and now we're on to this one to complete the trilogy. Luke, why don't you tell us a thing or two about Twilight Eclipse?
Well, I have to say, Michael, you don't sound very enthusiastic about the prospect of talking about Twilight Eclipse. Which
it is a real doozy.
Yeah, which is surprising. Of course, yeah, we are doing Twilight Eclipse because it's its 15-year anniversary. We have reviewed the previous 2 Twilight movies in the past couple of years, and we are also reviewing it because there is a movie coming out which might have some crossover in terms of fandom, which is Wicked.
Oh, Christy.
No. Wicked for Good, the sequel to Wicked.
Yes.
Yeah, which we will predict the Rotten Tomatoes score for that at the end of this review. So yeah, I mean, it's about, Wicked is about like witches and like, supernatural stuff, kind of like this movie. So yeah, and obviously, it's a musical, so women like it. And women really like Twilight.
All of them.
Yeah, I do wonder what the demographic split was for these movies, for like Twilight Eclipse. Like, was it like 90% women, 10% men? And was the men just like dads who had to take their like teenage daughters to see it? I do wonder that. I think as all the male audience was relating to Bella's dad. What's he called? Charlie. I think that's what he's called.
Yeah. I mean, we love. I think we've mentioned that already. Charlie is the best character.
Charlie is the best character. He should get a spin-off. I'd love that. If there was.
I'm actually. Well, that like Stephanie Meyer, she rewrote Twilight, but from the perspective of Edward. She should have rewritten it from the perspective of Charlie.
That's good. Yeah, I like that. That could be a bit. Like Yeah.
Yes.
SNL.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's the only sketch show I can think of. That's American.
Yeah, I want to be the next SNL cast member, and here's why I should be a contender.
Yeah. Well, that is somehow more cringy than this. I don't know if this movie is cringy. Well, we'll get into it. So,
yes.
The Twilight Saga Eclipse, that's its official title, is a 2010, or just Eclipse, of course. It's a 2010 American vampire romantic fantasy film. Oh, it's interesting. They put the word vampire in front of it like it's its own genre. They did not do that in New Moon, which I guess makes sense because Edward wasn't in that one a lot, which is one of the reasons why I kind of liked that movie compared to the previous one. So, it was directed by David Slade. It stars Kristen Stewart, Robert Pattinson, Taylor Lautner, Bryce Dallas Howard. Wait, what?
I actually did not even know that at all.
Yeah, so she replaced the ginger lady from the first Twilight movie. And she did that because probably she's more famous. So there you go. Also stars Billy Burke and Dakota Fanning. It was. Yeah, thank you for confirming you know about Dakota Fanning. It was released on June the 30th, 2010 in the United States. So yeah, we're quite a ways away from its 15-year anniversary. But crucially, we had a lot of movies to review in the summer, and we did Goblet of Fire last week, of course.
Yes.
Our Pats was in that, and Our Pats is in this one as well. So we're getting a double dose of Robert Pattinson.
Yes, and I remember our favourite movie reviewers, CinemaSins, when they did everything wrong with Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, they said Robert Pattinson jumping out of this tree was the only audition he had to do for Twilight.
Yeah,
because he's hot.
Yeah, no, I mean that's true. Yeah, he likes mogging people, I believe is the term. Robert Pattinson.
Yes. He doesn't like Twilight.
No,
famously.
He does not know. Actually, he was asked recently because he and Jennifer Lawrence have a new movie that's come out, and maybe that should have been our opening because he said that he would be fine directing another Twilight movie. And he said
that is an interesting thing to have said.
Yeah, I don't. Maybe he wasn't serious. He doesn't seem like a serious guy in general. Yeah. So, Michael, what is the budget for the Twilight Saga Eclipse? The previous budget was, I think, 50 million for New Moon.
Less happens in this movie, but I also feel like, in a way, for most franchises, the budget does just slowly go up because they'll be like, well, in for a penny, in for a pound, if we're going to keep this series going. But I'm going to say it only went up I'm just going to say 60 million. I don't know why it would be that much. But yeah, because I mean, obviously in the last one they traveled and stuff, but whatever, 60 million.
Well, you have to consider, the actors are probably getting paid more.
Yeah, that's it. They command bigger wages, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, they can't go up. It can't go up all the time indefinitely. So I'm just going to stick with 60 million.
Well, it can. It can't keep going up. Well, it can. 68 million.
Okay.
Yeah, which honestly isn't too much. So 68 million. What about the box office?
Now, I get to also know what the previous one was with this?
Yeah, if you want. It was at $711 million.
In my head, this is the movie people would care about the least. I'm going to say 650.
Why do you think people would care about this the least?
I just feel like the hype of the fact it's new has died down, and we're not in the final stretch yet. So that's just. I would not at all be shocked if you're now going to tell me it made more money, because I also think it's.
Wouldn't you say this is like peak Twilight?
Okay. I kind of see what you're saying there, because you're saying this is peak the love triangle, Team Edward versus Team Jacob, and in that sense, yeah, I can see how from the fandom perspective, maybe this is the one where they'll be like, oh, we got to show up for this one because like you say, Team Edward, Team Jacob.
And of course, this movie is the most Team Edward versus Team Jacob. The series was still going strong. The box office is higher, not that much higher, only 760, but still an improvement over New Moon. It's kind of crazy because of course these movies are released every year. This movie was released in June, on June the 30th, and the previous movie was released in November. Just 8 months earlier. So that's kind of crazy. Just 8 months later. This movie was released compared to New Moon. So to be honest, to have that relatively short turnaround and to still make this much money is insane. I'm not sure why they didn't push it back to November like they did for the other movies. But yeah,
that is weird.
Yeah, it's impressive given the context of it. It was just released 8 months later. Anyway, Michael, I think you've already given me a couple of clues, but can you tell me whether you liked Twilight? Sorry, the Twilight Saga Eclipse.
This movie was so boring. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I have even a funny way of saying, or an interesting substantial way of saying it. I guess I mean, for me, the standout thing that did make this movie easily the funniest thing is the fact that Jacob is a big. He's so funny. I found the love triangle aspect very uncompelling, which I think we'll get into. But that's the main thing about this film, and I was like, I don't get this for a second. Yeah, overall, I mean, this movie, it had way less of a plot in terms of what was going on, and the plot they had was just really generic, just there's this whatever. Yeah, it was boring, it was bad, less entertaining than the previous film. Maybe, I mean, yeah, I'd also say less entertaining than the first one. Maybe even the worst Twilight film ever. What do you think, Luke?
I don't know if it's worse than the first one, But it's
I really can't remember the first one, to be honest.
well, I was just very frustrated with the first one in a lot of ways. Yeah, it just kind of fucks around for like an hour and a half. And you really look, if you are invested in the Team Edward, Team Jacob thing, if you really care about that, then I suppose you'd like it. You probably would like it, but again, unsurprisingly, I don't care about Team Edward v Team Jacob. I don't care about Bella, like who she's gonna go with, and especially because all along it is kind of obvious. It's going to be Edward.
Yes.
Jacob never really has a shot, which again just doesn't make it interesting, even if you don't care that much about the whole dynamic. So for an hour and a half, you could just kind of like, all right, fine, we're just getting through this until it all builds up to this big battle at the end, which I don't think is that good either. I think the battle at the end could use some work. Maybe it was because they only had a few months in between the sequels. So yeah, I don't think there's no redeeming qualities about this movie, to be honest. Unlike New Moon, which I kind of enjoyed New Moon because it felt like stuff actually happened and the romance wasn't that big a deal because Edward was not in the movie. That's what improved it. Unfortunately, Edward is in the movie quite a lot this time. Which is interesting.
Yes, this is a big negative.
Yeah, it's why I think people or fans don't like New Moon, because Edward isn't in it that much, but they do like this movie and the first one, of course, because he's in it every single fucking scene almost. So yeah, I can only imagine that you could only be interested in this if you're a fan of Twilight. If you're not a fan of Twilight, I don't see how you could really enjoy this. Do you agree with that?
I think yes, and if you are a fan of Twilight, you should kill yourself. No, but yeah, it's like that's the kind of interesting thing. I mean, it's really interesting to me, and I know there's any point we could have spoken about Twilight in general, but it's interesting to me that people talked about like a Twilight versus Harry Potter rivalry, or to a lesser extent like a Harry Potter versus Hunger Games rivalry. And it's like, whatever you think of Harry Potter, whatever you think about the Hunger Games. I mean, we were speaking about the Goblet of Fire, and we had plenty of criticisms of that. But compared to this movie, Goblet of Fire had like so much going on. It had like an actual plot. There were like characters, like different characters, and they were kind of likable and stuff.
There was
and
dragons.
Like the fact that like Twilight actually managed to be considered like a young adult franchise is crazy when you, because again, like Hunger Games, I didn't like those movies particularly.
Okay, well,
again, it has a structure or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, but again, it's not. I would say it's not young adult. These Twilight movies, they're
tween.
Well, no. The point I'm making is it's young girl adult. Like I think Harry Potter and what's the other one? Hunger Games. They have crossover appeal across the genders. This one, like I kind of said before, it's firmly aimed towards women. And maybe dads who have to take their daughters, and that's it. That's the crossover you're getting. So again, there's a heavy emphasis on the romance, and not so much because Harry Potter, you got action and you got like an overall arc, which is kind of interesting. And it's not to say that girls can't get invested in that. Of course, they do. Like plenty of girls like Harry Potter, but the thing is, these movies are more romance than they are like action, which is not what you can say for Hunger Games or Harry Potter. Definitely not for Harry Potter. So okay, so these movies are more like focused. The romance takes priority over everything else. And is the romance good? Nope, because it's aimed at like teenage girls. So of course it's probably not going to be good. So yeah, it has.
Whoa, that's so judgmental.
Well, yeah, that's just how it is, unfortunately. So yeah, and we're reviewing them because they gross so much money. They had a massive cultural impact, of course, but nobody at the time thought, what, these are good movies. And I think the best, again, if you do like these movies, the best way to think about them is as a guilty pleasure. Like I kind of said in the first review, they're basically like porn for women. Like these fantasies, about there are two hot men after me. And one's a vampire and one's a werewolf, and that's extra sexy because that means they could kill me. But they love me.
That is pretty hot.
Yeah, but they love me so much. Again, it's kind of perverse, but they love me so much so that they would
so much they're gonna fuck me instead.
they would rather die than leave me, you know. And that's that's where the perversion comes in, and that's where the fantasy element comes in. But it doesn't mean it's good. Harry Potter book is basically a mystery, which of course makes it naturally intriguing. With the Hunger Games,
there's also better world building, and I say that as someone who's not the world's biggest fan of the Harry Potter world building because it's illogical in lots of ways, but it's still at least something.
Yeah. So again, like the mystery element, you know, really takes over in that franchise, and that's what makes it, again, for me anyway, as someone who doesn't really like Harry Potter, it's like, yeah, I'll watch a Harry Potter movie, you know, it could be worse. The Hunger Games, same kind of thing. Again, I don't think they're great movies, but it's not the.
I watched the Hunger Games movie on a plane.
Ah, nice.
That's what Hunger Games movies are.
Yeah,
plane movies.
There's this conspiratorial thing going on with the Hunger Games, which again is naturally interesting, and of course Katniss having to, you know, you have a very specific kind of format in the Hunger Games with Katniss trying to, you know, survive and, you know, win the Hunger Games as it is, and then you've got what happens in the last movie of, you know, a revolution overthrowing, you know, this oppressive government, which of course, you know, is incredibly political and therefore kind of naturally interesting, which is again not something that happens at all in the Twilight movies. So yeah, there is. I just bring up that comparison because it's interesting. You brought it up as to why those movies are better than this one. Well, that's why, you know, they just have focus on more naturally interesting stuff. There's more going on compared to this, which is, you know, bottom of the barrel Romeo and Juliet with this fantastical element, which is, you know, perverted and all that shit. So there you go. That's my analysis of why the other two YA I guess franchises which came out at the same time as this are just better than this one. Which again, I'm not really breaking new ground here, am I?
No, but you know what? I think you've basically nailed it. And should we get into talking about it? Should we get it over with? Bella once again finds herself surrounded by danger as Seattle is ravaged by a string of mysterious killings, and a malicious vampire continues her quest for revenge. In the midst of it all, she is forced to choose between her lover Edward and her friendship with Jacob, knowing that her decision has the potential to ignite the ageless struggle between vampire and werewolf. With her graduation quickly approaching, Bella is confronted with the most important decision of her life. Something I'm thinking about as I consider this movie is it's kind of crazy that the entire plot of this franchise is getting by on one encounter in the first movie. Basically it's just because obviously there were those guys who wanted to eat her or whatever, and Edward had a fight with them. And I feel then it's just even 2 movies later, what's this woman's motivation? Oh, she's just she was a friend of the guy who got lover, whatever, and now she's out for revenge. Yeah, and it's just there's very little effort to introduce new things that would be compelling. Yeah, well, because I think once again, to go back to the romance is prioritized. That's what Stephanie Meyer had in her head. Oh yeah, we got to make this Edward v Jacob kind of thing. Okay, what should actually be going on in the plot, in the actual movie, in the background, really. That's, all the killings, and then it, of course, culminates at the end with the massive battle. Well, she's thinking, okay, I actually need something to happen, that builds towards a climax. So, okay, this vampire army, because this is what you talked about before with the lack of world building. There's just one other main vampire character that we know. And yeah, it's this, what's she called? Victoria, that's it. It's just Victoria. Okay, I guess it's going to have to be her. She didn't want to do this in the second movie, but she's going to do it now in the third movie because Stephanie Meyer hasn't really got a good idea. So we're going to go back to Victoria. Also, another thing, Michael, is we talked about this in the New Moon review. There's no mention of what the title Eclipse. What's that got to do with what happens in this movie? So obviously, I believe that there's this really interesting dynamic where whenever there's an eclipse, it causes the werewolves to lose their power. So the bad vampires have chosen to tactically attack during the eclipse so that the vampires will be weakened, which creates an interesting challenge that the protagonists have to navigate. Wait, the vampires will be weakened? Oh, sorry, the werewolves will be weakened. Yeah, I forgot the plot. Yes. Wait. Yes, of course. That's. I was joking there because in reality, I was trying to introduce a more interesting dynamic to the plot, as a flex. But of course, as you're getting at, and I believe is the case of New Moon, there is no meaning to the subtitle at all. It's just something that has to do with nighttime and the sky, the night sky. Yeah, because you got Twilight. Obviously, we all know what that is. Actually, no, an eclipse has nothing to do with nighttime. It's to do with darkness. Well, yes, that's what I was going to point out, because you got Twilight.
obviously we know what that is. New moon. Okay, the moon's out at night. Fair enough. At least you can see it.
Breaking dawn.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Again, yeah. And the breaking dawn. Okay, yeah. It's the sun rises again. But what happens? In the middle of the night, is there an eclipse at night? No, that makes no sense. Because there can only be an eclipse in the daytime. So
yeah. Unless we're talking about a lunar eclipse.
Yeah. Well,
yeah. Have you ever seen in The Simpsons when I'm like, I heard there's a lunar eclipse tonight. Maybe we should look up. Nah, for me, it's solar or nothing.
That's good. I like that. What a good show. Wish I watched that instead of Twilight. But yeah.
Oh, what about the Simpsons parody of Twilight?
Have they done that?
Yeah, it's actually not very good. It's
like
a
what
later.
a
I know. It's a later Simpsons Halloween episode.
Yeah, well, I imagine it would be later, not in 1996. So.
Yes, it makes sense. Yeah.
Good job. Yeah, but yeah, So okay, again, the eclipse title does not make sense because there is no eclipse at night. But it would make sense if the eclipse was incorporated into the movie somewhat. Maybe they'd be ripping off Avatar if Stephanie Meyer wrote that.
Yes.
But I tell you what,
Day of Black Sun.
Yeah, I'd rather her rip off Avatar than produce whatever this is. So what is a lunar eclipse actually?
So a lunar eclipse is literally just referring to when the moon, like when you can't see the moon because the shadow of the Earth is in the way.
That's not as exciting as an actual solar.
No, yeah, it's literally nothing like as exciting. It basically happens every single month.
Yeah.
Every single month you get a lunar eclipse.
Yeah.
What's weird actually, by the way, is that a lunar eclipse happens just before a new moon, because obviously there's the lunar eclipse where the moon is covered in Earth's shadow, and then there's the new moon where the moon's back. So she did it in the wrong order. She did. Again, we need
idiot. We need another title here. Like,
yeah. Isn't it weird that she's a Mormon?
The Dark of Night. Yeah. Well, is it weird she's a Mormon?
No. Well, in my head, because I was just thinking, like with all these like celestial bodies and stuff, why doesn't she give Kolob a mention?
Okay. Well, I'm going to talk about her Mormonism later, Stephanie Meyer.
Because of the chastity.
Yeah. Yeah. Christianity. What a religion, eh? But yeah. So okay. Right. I was thinking maybe the eclipse, just to end on this, it could be a metaphor for the vampire army, but I don't think that's the case, and I don't really see how that would work. So, and again, the eclipse, that's to do with the moon is to do with werewolves, so whatever. Anyway, so basically, yeah, this whole movie builds up to a big battle between, this vampire army and the werewolves, and there's not much of a plot. It's just Jacob and Edward melodrama for 1 hour and 30 minutes before that. And again, like we've said before, when the climax of the movie doesn't really have anything to do with what has been transpiring throughout the core, part of the movie,
No.
But yeah. So let's get into this plot, this riveting plot now, Michael, or the script, yeah.
In Seattle, Washington, the vampire, Victoria Sutherland, attacks the human Riley Beers, turning him... they literally said his name in the movie. It's not Byers, is it? I don't know. Who cares? Turning him into a vampire. Thus, she begins creating an army of newborn vampires to help her get revenge on Edward Cullen, who killed her lover, James Witherdale. I don't think we need this. I don't think we need the surname, personally. I don't think it really matters. Yeah, the thing is, when I was watching this, as you know, Luke, I have watched the very popular television series Supernatural, which also has vampires in it. And I was trying to remember... You
should like this movie then.
Yeah, well, I was trying to remember, is this thing about because I have seen this movie before for my own reasons, but I blanked it from my memory. I was like, wait, is this the one about the woman trying to create the army of vampires, or is that from Supernatural? Anyway, turns out it's from this. Yeah, whatever. I mean, it's kind of surprising how boring an army of vampires can be. That's impressive. But that's the thing. The problem with these movies is they aren't really horror movies, and they don't even really try to be horror. There's nothing really horror-ish about them at all.
No, and if they leaned into that, they'd be more interesting, I think.
And certainly more have more cross-gender appeal, as you alluded to.
Yes. And I think girls would still watch if it was more horror-esque.
Yeah. Girls watch Supernatural.
Well, I was going to ask you about that. Is the reason you watched Supernatural, is that because of your wife?
Well, no, actually.
Oh, okay.
Unbeknownst to me, I'm gay. There's actually a really good story. It's not a long story, but basically, one time my dad was watching the show about these guys who hunt monsters, and I was like, oh, cool. It's hunting monsters. It's got demons in it, vampires, all that kind of stuff. And sure, every now and then there'll be these, like they'll have little gay conversations with each other, and they'll be like, oh man, I'm really struggling with my feelings and stuff. And I was like, okay, whatever. Anyway, then I get older and I find out that it's a TV show that is primarily enjoyed by teenage little girls who like to fantasize about the two brothers having sex with each other. And then I said to my wife, I think she mentioned it or something. I was like, I've seen that show. And even though I now realize it is gay, much to my chagrin, I wouldn't mind rewatching it with you. So that's basically the situation.
So she had seen it before?
She hadn't seen it before. She was interested in watching it.
Okay, so finally we get... Okay, that's interesting.
I introduced her to it.
Yeah, it's like when I watched and enjoyed The Sound of Music as a kid.
Yes.
So, you don't...
and then you found out Nazis, you found out people like it who aren't Nazis.
That's great.
I watched this movie, Nazis, awesome, and then,
the horror element, if they leaned into it a bit more, I think it would work. Like you say, girls would still like it, and maybe it would have more crossover appeal. The movie's having a darker tone. I just think would make it more interesting. It would be better. But, they're not interested in that at all, despite it being about vampires. Of course, I said this in the New Moon review, and it's the same thing here in Eclipse. A lot of the major scenes are just filmed, when it's overcast, it's the middle of the day, the big battle at the end. You'd think maybe it would happen at night, there would be a better aesthetic if the vampires came into the field, and the movie is called fucking Eclipse, there's no light, sets it at fucking night, but no, it's in the middle of the day, it's like 2:45 p.m. It's just not that interesting, so again, they're not interested in making that kind of movie.
It's easy to forget how boringly shot these. It feels like there's so much else to complain about that. It's just hard not to even think of that.
Yeah, same thing in New Moon, same thing in Eclipse. Yeah, just make it a bit more spooky. It's about vampires, werewolves, all that shit. You can lean into that. I think the movies might not be better, but just the tone would make it more engaging. But no, they don't want to do that. Instead, they want to have these boring, overcast scenes. So whatever. By the way, we didn't go over nitpicks, Michael, or lit picks. Do you have any?
Oh yeah, you know what? I didn't actually even think to write any down. So.
Right. I've just got one nitpick and a lit pick. So my nitpick is the Volturi. I don't know why they don't have Italian accents. Maybe I mentioned this in the New Moon.
Yeah, you would think you would have, but yeah.
Yeah, in the New Moon review, but it's just quite jarring. It's the Volturi, they've come over from Italy, but they're speaking like they're from fucking, Philadelphia. I don't know, just like a random American city. And then my lit pick is Edward has a new Volvo. Did you catch that?
No, but suddenly when I finished the movie, I wanted to buy a Volvo.
He's upgraded. I wonder if the Volvo dealership in Seattle, is used to the Cullens business. I don't know. Why does he like Volvos? I don't know. It's just very interesting to me. Anyway, so it's not, to be honest, very interesting, but it's
marginally interesting.
It's exactly marginally.
It is ever so slightly interesting.
Yes. Anyway, let's move on.
Yes. In Forks, vampire Edward and his human child girlfriend Bella Swan discuss her desire to be turned into a vampire, but Edward wants her to stay human. He asks her to marry him, but she is reluctant, even after Edward promises to turn her into a vampire if she agrees. Yeah, so I don't care. But am I right? So the previous movie ended with Volturi being mad, but then someone said, oh wait, you don't need to be mad because Bella's going to be turned into a vampire.
Yeah.
But okay, cool.
They agreed that, okay, yeah, you can exist if she gets turned into a vampire.
Yes, but vampires don't have a soul. That's Edward's big issue.
Yeah, they don't. They do not have a soul. Which and look, this sets up the conflict of the movie, which is kind of similar to the previous movie in some ways. Honestly, it's Bella wants to be a vampire. Edward doesn't want her to be a vampire. I think that was. That happened in New Moon, right? I can't remember though, but I feel
probably.
I feel like it was. Oh yeah, because the movie starts off with Bella seeing a vision of herself when she's really old, and she's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be 70, and you're gonna be 17. I'm gonna be the creepy one. I'm gonna be the pedophile. I don't want that to happen.
Yes.
So I want you to.
I also don't want to be a pedophile. Can I just say that?
So I want you to turn me into a vampire, Edward doesn't like that idea. So yeah, the same thing happens in this movie, it's just a reminder the way the movie kicks off, it's like, oh yeah, they're going to be together in this movie a lot, and it's not going to be like New Moon where Edward fucks off the entire film.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we're going to get plenty of these scenes.
Yeah. It is really funny how Charlie like just doesn't like Edward either. He's just like, hey, have you considered hanging out with maybe some of your other friends? maybe maybe that could be good for you.
Yeah, not the creepy, weird, like pale faced guy who just looks at you very weirdly all the time. Bella's mother as well points that out. So yeah. But again, it's just another example of Charlie being the best character in the franchise.
Yeah. I suppose that's the other thing we should say. They don't have chemistry. Like, I know that's like, it's just like, it's kind of weird, like, because this is like such basic stuff that it feels, it's just like, it's like romance thing. Who cares? Oh, yes. Bella talks of her father, an only normal character in this franchise, Charlie,
Perfect.
who decides to lift Bella's house arrest if she promises to spend more time with her other friends and Jacob Black, her childhood friend and a werewolf, with a strong dislike for vampires and Edward. Yes. So I guess she's grounded for going to Italy.
Yeah.
That would be my assumption.
Yeah.
I mean, again, Charlie's being smart to be like, hey, maybe you should have other friends.
Well, yeah, he's being normal, but also it's interesting. He says, yeah, you should spend more time with Jacob, because it's a very, if you think about it, it's a very hacky way to get the, Team Edward versus Team Jacob thing going.
Yeah.
Because, you need that.
Charlie's really invested in that.
Yeah, you need that drama. So it's like, okay, how is Bella going to, spend time with Jacob in this movie, considering Jacob now hates her because, she wants to be a vampire? Well, what if Charlie says, you got to spend time with him?
Yes.
So there we go. That's how you do it. Even though I don't.
It's pretty direct.
Yeah, even though I don't really think in real life that would happen. And it's like, oh yeah, you're spending too much time with your boyfriend. You got to spend time with this other, kid who wants to fuck you. So yeah,
that's what they call a wingman. No, yeah, it is very strange. Yeah,
Jacob paying Charlie under the table for that. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's just like obviously a device, a plot device to make the story, Edward v Jacob, which is of course what we get for the next like hour and a half.
Yes. Edward's family chase Victoria through the forest, but she escapes into werewolf territory, causing an incident between the vampires and the werewolves that flares up tensions between them. Edward decides to keep this a secret from Bella. Yes, so, this plot, again, it's just, I like, the issue is they don't really commit to anything. So it's kind of like, when this happens, even though, like, a movie where they get into some of, like, the, actual vampire fighting and all that stuff in a more interesting way would be better. When they just have like a tiny amount of it, it's like it almost feels like more of a distraction. Which is like, well, this doesn't even have anything to do with anything.
Yeah, if they actually
who cares?
Yeah, if they actually had a big disagreement between the vampires and the werewolves at the start of the movie, and then they have to join forces, that would be more interesting compared to this, which is just like they're kind of pissed off at each other. And also the Emmett guy, he goes over the stream for like 1 second.
Yeah,
it's like it would be a lot better if he was there for like if he jumps over and then
he like went on like a secret mission behind enemy lines.
No, like well, maybe, I don't know, but basically everyone sees him do it, and the other vampires are like, uh-oh, and the werewolves are like, oh, did you just fucking do that? And they start like chasing him instead of going after Victoria, and it's like because it just happens so quickly, and he barely gets over to the other side. It's like, I just don't think it's done that well. But yeah, it also looks so fake as well. Like, it looks so bad. I can't remember New Moon looking this bad, but it just looks very fake,
Yeah. Like, I don't even. But also, it doesn't help that like they never really got down like the super speed, super abilities, all that stuff. At school, Edward and Jacob have a tense meeting where Jacob reveals the incident to Bella. She is annoyed with Edward keeping things from her, so decides to be a slut and leave with Jacob right before school and start spending more time with him and his tribe. Yes, this is interesting. It's kind of like, obviously, and I think we should touch on this later, but there's the whole Jacob doesn't really have any chance of her at all. So again, to kind of manufacture this love triangle, it basically can only come from her using Jacob just to get at Edward.
Yes.
Which, obviously makes Jacob, I would say that's kind of cucky. Like, I personally feel like that's actually... I mean, like, at least if he got to bang her, that's one thing. But if, like, she's just basically hanging out with you to make her, the guy she really likes, jealous, that's cucky.
Yeah. So Jacob is being the...
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, sorry, yeah. So, I mean, well, in a way, I guess it's a double cuck.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, 2 cucks for the price of 1.
Yeah, well, she's in control. She's manipulating them both.
Yeah, she's a boss bitch.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's also, this power fantasy, I guess. I know maybe power fantasy is too strong a term, but you know what I mean with Bella.
Yes.
Yeah. She does this to get back at Edward for lying to her, and he didn't really lie to her, but whatever. But I don't think she'd do that. I don't think she'd just be like, right, I'm going off with Jacob now, just to piss Edward off. Again, it's just to get Jacob involved in the story. I feel like, in terms of this movie being all about Jacob and Edward, she leaves school, doesn't she? Or she's about to. She just skips school for the entire day. It feels like it's kind of symbolic in that she's no longer like a normal like girl, and I guess that's what she wants. But it doesn't make it that interesting. The story doesn't feel grounded because she just feels like so enveloped in this like weird fantasy universe now. It's like
like it is so crazy how much she becomes like, because I always think about like how in the first movie she had like those friends who like are kind of interesting. Here they're like there for 5 seconds and then they're just gone.
They're hardly in the movie. Like she hardly hangs out with them. And also we get imprint foreshadowing. Did you like
oh yes yes, which is going to be fantastic when we find out about where that's going. Brilliant idea. The Cullens forge an uneasy alliance with the werewolf tribe to defend against Victoria's oncoming attack. They stake out Bella's house and train together. Yes, so this is good. We finally... But I feel like, I don't know, I guess like we've always known they disliked each other, but we only get the full story for like why they don't like each other in this movie, which is just, whatever. They, I guess it's just tribes because they're different. But like you get, it's kind of weird because like he's like, I will tell you the stories, the ancient stories, and then the stories just one time they attacked us and we were actually pretty annoyed at that. Yeah, fair.
Yeah, this is after Bella says she's Switzerland, by the way.
Oh yes, that's a fantastic line. Yes.
Yeah,
because she knows about like politics.
Yeah, but so that's a line from the book as well, and there's a couple of times in the movies where you're like, that line is so weird. That must have been from the book, and it is from the book. And yeah, Kristen Stewart, so bad at acting. The scene with her mother earlier when in the movie when she's in Florida, like she's so bad in that. Like her mother is just like, she's actually, whoever the actor is, she's trying to act, and Kristen Stewart's just like, yeah, well, yeah. And again, you can say, oh, that's part of her character, but I'm sorry, no, you gotta give me a bit more than that. And yeah, again in this scene and just every scene, like, and it's why the chemistry between Edward and Bella isn't that good. Again, I think I talked about this in the first movie. Like, I think Robert Pattinson actually acts kind of well in these movies, but Kristen Stewart just does not. And maybe she has a harder thing to do, but I don't really think that's true. But yeah, I think that's what creates the bad chemistry. But yeah, again, we have this melodrama between the werewolves and the vampires, and I don't think it's that intriguing, to be honest. Like I said before, if they actually hated each other instead of just this tit for tat thing, that'd be better. I do like the scene when Bella is told the story about what happened back in the day, but she has to maybe understand that she's being manipulated against the vampires.
No, yeah. Like I would think that, like it's like, oh, we just happen to be telling this story about how fucking shit vampires are.
Yeah,
it's like cool.
But, yeah, she never acknowledges that. Again, it's just like bad writing. If she confronted Jacob after and was like, hey, wait, so why did you invite me? Just to tell me like how bad vampires are and how good the werewolves are. And they could have some conflict there, some genuine good drama. But she just hears the story and is like, yes, I will do that later. When somebody attacks Edward, I will stab myself. So. Just again, you could have taken something interesting out of that, but instead you took like, Chekhov's gun thing out of it, that kind of thing instead, which I don't think is as good.
Again, the world building, just they could have
well, you say they
vampires.
You say they, Stephanie Meyer.
She, yes, right. Eventually, Jacob confesses his love to Bella. She tells him she's in love with Edward, but he refuses to believe it and kisses her without her consent. She angrily punches him, but hurts her hand on his hard, sexy werewolf body. Later, Jacob apologizes for his behavior and Bella forgives him. Have you seen the bad lip reading of Twilight?
No.
Okay, basically, someone, the conceit of the YouTube channel, do you?
I'm aware.
Yes. Yeah, okay, basically, this is the stupidest thing in the world, but the scene where she's like talking to Jacob by the lake, and obviously she punches him. Instead, he just keeps going like, ha, ha, and then she like punches him because she's annoyed, and like he just like runs up like, ha, ha. So basically, that's what lives rent free in my head whenever I see that scene, because like she's actually punching him for a slightly better reason in this. I don't know if like I want to mention this now, but like genuinely, obviously, like sure, kissing someone without their consent, that's pretty alpha. But for the most part, Jacob is like so like needy and pathetic, but it's like it's really embarrassing because it's kind of like he's trying to be cool, but he's simping because he's like, oh, I know that I'm going to win you over eventually, and eventually you're going to realize I'm so much better for you than Edward and all that kind of stuff. So he's kind of being confident, but it's sort of like there's this cognitive dissonance between the fact that he's like acting like he's like really cool, and he is like a buff guy, but then he's just being like super like shit. And obviously, I mean, yeah, we can kiss her without consent, bad. You can razz him for that rightly, but like there's even the fact, like aside from anything else, how like social, like way to not pick up on social cues like at all.
Yeah.
Like he's kind of just like, oh, I'm gonna force it. It like literally reminds me of every single like cringe video I've seen from like reality dating shows where like the guy is just not getting it.
Yeah, I mean he's just kind of whiny. Like a lot of his scenes are just him like crying. It feels like, and it doesn't help that Taylor Lautner's voice is kind of nasally.
Yes,
I don't think that helps with the whole aesthetic. But yeah,
and he is surely the worst actor of the three because Patterson's been in lots of stuff. Kristen Stewart has been in other stuff. She played Princess Diana, and Taylor Lautner, he played Hercules in a really bad movie.
Yeah, I don't think he's a good actor. And to be fair to Kristen Stewart, it seems like she's improved, but I don't know. I haven't really seen her in a lot of movies. Robert Pattinson is the actual good actor, as we can see from his career. But yeah, again, okay. So this is what we'll get into the whole why the whole love triangle isn't really that interesting because, of course, I remember, as do you, back in the days, 2010. What a time. Wish we could go back there, but yeah. The whole.
We had a new government in power. Nothing but promises ahead.
Yeah, the Olympics were coming up. Those were the days. But I remember the Team Jacob, Team Edward thing. It was a popular. Well, I mean, it was kind of mocked as well at the same time. You had the.
Still a better love story than Twilight.
Yeah, you had that meme. Yes. There like Team Jacob. I mean. He, like I said in the intro, he doesn't have a shot in this movie. He doesn't have a shot because of creepy stuff like this, his overall personality, and the fact that Bella always seems just devoted to Edward. And that could possibly be because Stephanie Meyer deliberately derailed Jacob's character, as she didn't like how the fans preferred him. Maybe that's the reason. But again,
I actually didn't know about this.
Yeah, like there's a conspiracy theory, but there's a reason. Maybe like Jacob in this movie is written the way he is, which is kind of just annoying. And again, just maybe because of that, just doesn't really have a shot. But what it does for me anyway is, okay, you want me to get invested in this love triangle,
Yes.
It's probably not going to happen, but the best way to do it is to make it seem like, oh, Jacob actually has a chance here. But I never felt that throughout the entire movie. It was always, can you imagine Edward doing that? I don't think Edward would ever do that to Bella.
He's creepy, but he actually is kind of you can actually believe that he he's a gentleman. So it's kind of a bit, it's like a positive discrimination. It's like, I don't want to hurt you, Bella.
Yeah.
Bella, even.
Yeah, and again, so if you are a writer, you basically, there's quite a big contrast between Edward and Jacob in that regard. So, unless Bella likes being, disrespected, which she does not.
She's a boss bitch.
She is a boss bitch. She's never gonna go with Jacob. So how is that interesting? Team Edward, they're like Real Madrid, and Team Jacob.
Yes.
Team Jacob is like Burnley.
Dagenham and Redbridge.
Yeah, I was gonna say Burnley. But yeah, it's like one is a lot better than the other in terms of who's going to win. Well, maybe Real Madrid would beat Burnley or Dagenham and Redbridge. So it's not really that big of a competition, which again is not interesting if the whole point of the movie is a love triangle. So there you go. I don't know. You agree?
No, yeah, I do agree, and I was not compelled by the love triangle at all. I didn't even know that that whole thing about Stephanie Meyer sabotaging his character because she was triggered that the guy that she didn't, whatever. That's crazy. But yeah, absolutely. That's the thing. He's not it's just embarrassing. He's really not very smooth.
Yeah,
It's not a smooth operator.
Yeah, when you actually watch the movie, you do realize like, oh, there never really was like a competition. You know, one team was always going to win. So it makes me think back to all the Team Edward Jacob thing. It's like, oh, it was all BS. You know, there was only going to be one winner, and that's confirmed in the next movie when Jacob decides to fuck the baby.
Yes, the baby, the rapper, the baby. During the vampire/werewolf training, Alice's partner, Jasper, tells Bella that he was once part of a newborn army and hated himself, but experienced happiness once he fell in love with Alice. Yes, yeah, we get his backstory. I watched a video recently. Well, I watched a video a while ago, and having then rewatched this, I was compelled to add it to my watch later list, so at some point when I'm, doing the dishes or something, I'll listen to it. And it's like basically just about this thing of like, why are there so many Confederate vampires? Because that's like an actual thing. Like in a lot of vampire media, there are Confederates, and like it's of note that they're. I mean, we don't hear most people's backstories, but it's very important we know this guy was a Confederate. I mean, look, whatever, states' rights, it's fine. But I think it's interesting that it's like it's enough of a trope that it shows up here, and like people have noticed it showing up in other stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, do you have an analysis of this reality?
Well, firstly, it's problematic. Obviously, yeah. But no, it's funny.
Yeah. So, well, you know what? Someone should have asked him to denounce white supremacy.
Yeah, like good one. But yeah, but Bella, she's just like, wow, you were in the Civil War, and he said, yeah, I was on the slave owner's side, and Bella's never like
Texas.
So what did you think the slaves deserve to still be slaves, or did you think they should be free? That would be my first question.
Yeah, I'd be like, oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Well, to be fair,
awkward.
To be fair, there's not a lot of black people in this movie,
No, and to be fair, there were bad black people in the previous movie.
Yes.
Oh no, sorry, not previous. Well, yeah, I mean, the original trio in the first movie were black.
Yeah,
one of them was black.
We got to watch the first movie again to see if Jasper gave any disapproving looks to.
He called him boy
to Laurent, the black vampire.
Yeah,
yeah, we don't want you around here, boy. You're not. You can't play in our game of baseball.
Get involved in the N-word leagues.
Yeah. And like fucking what's he called? The doctor vampire.
Oh,
Carlin.
Wait, is he?
What?
Yeah, Carlin.
Is that what?
Carlsberg?
Yeah, he has to just calm down Jasper. Like, take it easy, Jasper. No, and he's just like, I don't like him. Spits on the ground. Yeah. Yeah. No, but yeah, I don't know. So why are there so many Confederate vampires? Maybe it's because vampires, they're intrinsically like independent, and the Confederates wanted to be independent. I don't know.
I have one theory, which is basically that there is this idea of like Southerners as kind of aristocrats. Like there's kind of like, my stars, I never had a day a romp in the hay like that. Like kind of obviously nowadays we don't have that association with Southerners at all. But like I feel like in the Civil War, you think about like Gone with the Wind and stuff. It's always like, my God, Rex, where will I go? What will I do? So I kind of feel like if that's the case, you can imagine that because vampires are often presented as very kind of sophisticated and aristocratic, like you couldn't have a vampire from Boston. They'd be like, gonna pack my teeth in your neck so I can drink your blood.
Wow.
Like a Bostonian.
I'm gonna pack my teeth in
I'm
your
a vampire.
Neck. My boy's wicked smart. And
smart.
Yeah, that's what you gotta do. And he likes to.
Anyways, yeah, that's my theory. But
yeah.
It is, yeah, it's strange to like, it's weird as a thing to like bring up, because that's the thing. No one else tells like their whole backstory. I don't think in like anything like that detail.
No, his wife does.
Oh yeah. There's that. Yeah, and that was just the thing of like, so she was the one who almost got raped.
I think
or beaten up.
She did. That was the point.
Yeah, okay, cool, good. I mean, I don't know why I said. I don't know why. I just meant I'm glad we've clarified that.
Okay.
I'm glad that yeah, we can cut that anyway.
No, we're not. I think people understood what you meant. But yeah,
yes.
Okay, so this is what was frustrating about this scene, because afterwards Bella's like, oh wow, like Victoria's doing the same thing that whoever fucking controlled Jasper did. She's building a vampire army. But could Jasper not have thought of that? Like, is he? I mean, I know he's from the South, but he's just really dumb.
Yeah.
Because I was confused because they seem to think it could be the Volturi, or it could be Victoria, or it could be just a random army. Which why would it be a random army, and why would the Volturi get involved? So obviously it would be Victoria. And I know they're like, oh, Alice can't see, but Victoria doing anything, but maybe she's just telling, and what is he called, Riley Beers, whatever. That's the guy who's the Jasper standard. But yeah, maybe she's she's doing that, and Jasper, who was literally in that position, never thinks of that for like 1 second. So
no, yeah, that is really weird.
Oh no, wait.
And you're right.
I forgot. By the way, Jasper is with Alice, and fucking Emmett. That's his wife is the one that gets beaten up and raped.
Yes.
Yeah, which is not good.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, yes, bad. I would say personally. Yeah, that's my opinion.
So that's why I was frustrated, because I was like, isn't it obvious like Victoria is building like this army? Like she's just attacked. Like so somebody went into Bella's house. It's very clear. She's being targeted. And again, who would do
yes.
that? It's obviously Victoria. So Jasper never puts 2 and 2 together because he's a fucking moron. And that's why I was frustrated with this movie, because well, isn't it obvious? Why are they debating this? But yeah, they were just all really dumb. But I guess Bella has to be the one to figure it out because she's so smart.
Yeah, that's like that is a very good point, and you are valid for having pointed it out.
Thank
because you. There's no way around it. It just makes no sense. With that said, Bella and Edward spend the night alone in his family home, and afraid how her feelings will change after being turned into a vampire, she agrees to marry him if he agrees to have sex with her. The two make out that Edward finds it too dangerous and explains that he wants to wait until marriage, after which he shows Bella his mother's ring and asks her to marry him, and she says yes. Here's what I don't like about this. She's just told Charlie, her dad, that she's like a virgin, and he's like, okay, cool, like that's good to know, and whatever. I'm not saying that the dad owns her body or whatever, but it's just a bit weird to be like to have a conversation where she's kind of like almost offering reassurance of like, hey, you don't need to worry about any of this, blah blah blah, and then be like, actually, I want to fuck you. It's like she's like, I hate my dad, and right after he said, oh, it's good to know that you're taking things slow, whatever. It's like, no, I don't want to. Just hearing him say that he approved just really pissed me off.
Well, that's the thing. He didn't approve. He approved, but when she was off screen.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're right. Yeah. Like tacitly, it was like, okay, if you want to, it's fine.
Yeah. Well, he was just like, I don't want to hear that. So
yeah.
Well, it's weird because like you just
like, that ruins all my fantasies.
Well, you just
doesn't have that accent at all.
No, he does not. No. But you've just talked with your dad about this, and like the next scene, I don't know.
Yeah. It is weird. It's incestuous. That's what it is.
Yeah.
She was thinking of her dad.
Well, again, like, you could psychoanalyze Bella there, but if you want. But yeah, it's just shit writing from Stephanie Meyer, because I don't think a normal person would have that conversation and think, actually, yeah, now I want to have sex with Edward. It seems to be the thing that ignited in her, like, oh yeah, now I want to have.
Yes.
And again, it's a very weird thing to ignite that. But yeah, the whole thing about Edward not wanting to have sex with Bella before marriage, this is Stephanie Meyer's Mormonism.
Yes.
Twilight was all an elaborate ruse to get teenage girls to practice abstinence. You got
him.
Yeah, how in The Simpsons you had that thing with Bart. It was in, I think, an episode where they were like, behind the door. This is what The Simpsons are like.
Behind the laughter.
Yeah, behind the laughter. Yeah, and it's like there's a bunch of T-shirts with Bart's face on, and it's like various sayings, and it's like on one of the T-shirts Bart's saying, "Life begins at conception, man." I could just imagine the same with like Edward. Like Edward's face is on a T-shirt, and Edward's like,
yes.
No sex before marriage, practice abstinence. Like that's what Stephanie Meyer wants to promote. Because this is the guy that everyone, all the teenage girls, they like, or everyone, well, half of them maybe, but, most of them in the fandom, that they like Edward, and he's saying no. You gotta wait until you put a ring on it. That's when, not his cock. No, her finger.
Oh yes,
so,
yes.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. But no, that's only then, which again is I say it's Stephanie Meyer's Mormonism, but it's obviously various strains of Christianity really do promote this idea, and Mormonism is one of those strains,
Yeah. It's like, and I had heard that this whole thing, I don't even know if like it's a good, because I've heard people say like the movie's like, or the book, I guess, is an analogy for abstinence. Like I've heard people say that, where it's like supposed to be, and I guess like that is referring to the fact that he really wants to drink her blood. And like the fact he finds that allure really powerful, but he resists it. I think that's what it's supposed to be getting at, as far as it being an analogy.
Well,
is
no,
concerned.
Because he doesn't eventually drink her blood after marriage, so I don't think that works, to be honest.
No, well, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's what I've heard. That's all I can say. All I can say is what I've heard, and but yeah, I agree with you. It doesn't really make massive sense for it to be an analogy.
And they even just like he's discussing it in this scene. Like there's not like a grand metaphor when he's literally discussing it in this scene and saying, "No, I want to wait until after marriage." So
no, yeah,
yeah, they.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
whatever. I mean, I guess you can put that in there. To be fair, like it's actually weird. Like a lot of like young people's media is like weirdly conservative. I mean, I was gonna say like Harry Potter, like oh really, Harry Potter's weirdly conservative. But like even just like the fact that obviously like one, as far as you know, nobody does have sex. But then two, like everyone basically just gets married to like the first people they're in a relationship with, pretty much.
Yeah,
like,
but that's
that's
just shitty writing, you know.
Yeah. But I also choose to believe it's because J.K. Rowling thinks you should, you know. It's a bit like I like the moment. You've not seen the epilogue where they say, "Well done for not." Harry like kisses Ginny, like, "I'm so glad we waited until marriage." Anyway. Bella's blood is used to bait the vampire army, and Edward and Bella camp in the mountains away from the fight to keep her safe. They discuss their engagement, which Jacob overhears, after which he storms off. Bella chases Jacob and asks him to kiss her, which he does. Bella explains to Edward that although she loves Jacob, her love for Edward is stronger. Okay, yeah, so there's like so much going on here because like one, like he has no right to be mad. She has shown very little interest in him whatsoever. Two, it's absolutely bizarre she asks him to kiss her. Incredibly dumb. Three, it's embarrassing that he allows himself to kind of get gassed off this when she clearly just did it because he didn't want her... Sorry, she didn't want him to kill himself because he was so mad about her marrying the man she actually loves. And then four, she really doesn't love Jacob in any meaningful sense, so she didn't even need to tell Edward that. But
yeah.
There we go.
So, yeah,
there's a lot going on here.
There's a lot going on with the kiss scene. But yeah, firstly, Stephenie Meyer is a genius for coming up... Well, I bet she felt like a genius for coming up with that scenario where, you know, oh, Bella is so cold, so Jacob needs to cuddle her because, you know, he's
cucktastic.
Yeah, it is cooktastic, as they say. And, you know, Jacob's hugging Bella and staring at Edward, and Stephenie Meyer's writing this like, yes, this is fire. This is gonna... I assume this is in the book. But yeah, and you got a couple of good lines in there. You know, I'm hotter. You know, you see, see what I did there? Yeah. So okay. So then in the morning, when obviously, Jacob finds out about their engagement. Like you say, he has no right to be mad about it. You know, again, like Bella has not, shown any willingness to be in a relationship with him at all. But whatever, like he's emotional. Okay, I can understand somewhat. But then Bella goes over to talk to Jacob, and she says, "Jake, stay." You remember that? Like she says that like a dog. And I was like, I don't know if that was if they meant that to be a line because he's a werewolf, but I don't know. I just found that funny, so I was already kind of laughing when this scene was happening. But yeah, again, like there's so much manipulation from both of them as well. It's just like the foundations of this whole kiss is just bullshit because Jacob does that whiny, annoying thing which we've criticized him for. It was like, oh, maybe I should just go and kill myself, or if I died, you wouldn't care. Deliberately, trying to
very healthy.
Yeah, emotionally manipulating Bella, and then Bella goes right back and it's like, no, oh shit, I got to get him on side. So you know what, I'll kiss him. That's what he wants, so I'll do it. And then she does, and again, it seems to me from the outside like manipulation, but apparently she did it because she wanted to, and she was like, she genuinely loved Jacob, even though again we haven't seen anything like that so far.
Yeah,
and it does seem just like manipulation from the outside. And yeah, again, Jacob is just like, okay, I'll take it, sure. And he's like, I'm all good now. Again,
yeah.
If
he's he is a dumb dog.
Yeah, like if I was in that situation, I'd be like, well, wait, does this mean you love me? What's going on here? But no, she just walks away. Like he doesn't care. He's just like, yeah, I've got my kiss. That's all.
Like, duh.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, like God, he's so easily like placated, isn't he?
Yes.
So which makes it seem like Bella was manipulating him because she's like, this would work, and it does. And then you got fucking Edward, who's just on the sidelines. He's just had his girlfriend like being hugged by a shirtless man for the whole night, and then his fiance now. Then his fiance like kisses him the next morning, and he's just like, fine. He just doesn't care. He doesn't get angry, and
he's very aloof.
Yeah, and it's like, how can you not care about that? Like, surely you'd be a little bit annoyed in the very least at it. But no, Ed was just such a perfect guy. He wouldn't even get mad at this. And it's just like this is the female fantasy, coming through. It's like, oh yeah, like I kissed another guy in front of my fiance, but he didn't care because he just loves me too much. He was like, whatever makes you happy,
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so
It's wild.
all of it is shit. I did actually like when Jake and Edward talked to each other, though.
Oh, they were like kind of sparring a bit.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah, because I'm like, that's the first time they've actually talked to each other without them, all the melodrama. They actually have to have a conversation. I was like, that's one of the most interesting, well, maybe the most interesting conversation in the movie. But yeah,
I would be inclined to agree.
Yeah. Overall, that whole segment up on the mountain, very bad.
The Cullen family, together with the werewolves, managed to fend off the attack, with Edward killing Victoria, but Jacob gets badly injured during the fight. What I like about this, by the way, is that you also have another guy embarrassingly simping for a girl, which is, of course, Mr. Breyer, who, basically... Like, I was thinking, like, wouldn't it be kind of interesting if he was just like, oh, yeah, good point. I actually, like, shouldn't trust this woman. I'm just going to lay down and not die in this. That would be almost as anticlimactic as the final movie.
Yeah. Now, do you know what this reminded me of? It reminded me of the ending of Green Street, Like,
oh, yeah.
How they're all fighting on this, like, abandoned plot in London, and they're all fighting, all of them in this, big field. It's shit. God, what are the vampires made out of, Michael? Like, I don't get it.
Yeah, well, like, I think porcelain?
It looks to be that way. I mean, it just looks so bad, all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's because you can't have blood.
Yeah, good point. You can't have blood, even though, well, we do see Bella's blood, don't we?
Yeah, I think like you can't have blood and kill someone. Weirdly, like that's the rule.
Yeah, maybe that's the rule. Yeah, but we do get a reincorporation of the story that Bella heard earlier when she cuts herself. So that's what I took from the story. Not that vampires are twats. No.
No. Yes.
I wonder when all the werewolves heard like what Bella did, they were like, oh shit, like we shouldn't have told her that. Then Edward would have died.
Yes.
Fuck. But yeah.
After the werewolves carry Jacob to safety, the Volturi guard, who carry out vampire laws, arrive and find the Cullens guarding Bree Tanner, one of the newborns whom Victoria created. It's kind of weird. Like the movies, like these movies, they basically have a circular because obviously the first movie was about like those vampires, those 3 vampires who wanted to eat Bella.
Yeah.
The second movie was about the Volturi, and then the third movie, they went back to the vampires, and then the fourth movie they go back to the Volturi. So it's kind of like they're really they just like came up with 2 ideas and was like, that's it. Now I can just now I just need to keep alternating them and problem solve.
Yeah, you keep saying they. You mean one person, obviously.
Yes,
yeah. Melissa Rosenberg, who wrote the screenplay, I don't think she had much of a say in what happened. The events in this movie. But yeah, the thing is, we already saw the Volturi early on in the movie, and again, that was to show like, oh, maybe they were deciding like, the what's she called, Dakota Fanning. I don't know what her fucking name is. But she's like, okay, let's see what happens. I want to see what transpires here because maybe if this army kills the Cullens, that'll solve our problem. She wants the Cullens dead for some reason. I don't know why, but I think that's what she's thinking. Basically, my idea was let's not have that scene where the Volturi appear in Seattle. Let's just have them walk in at the end of the movie because I think that would be more interesting. It was like, oh, all of a sudden here come the Volturi. Like, oh, didn't expect that. But then that'd be an interesting climax. But because you've already seen them, you expect them. But yeah, I guess they were in there to show that they were aware of what's happening. So basically it sets them up as evil because they were like, yeah, we're not going to do anything about this vampire army. Instead, we're going to, because we want them to kill the Cullens. Even though apparently she should not have done that and she should have stopped the vampire army. But whatever.
Afterwards, Bella visits the injured Jacob to tell him she has chosen to be with Edward, and he reluctantly accepts her decision. Yes, I feel like he still gets in the line like there about like, oh, you love me deep down. I know you love me.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know. Yeah, he's still barking up that tree. Barking.
Yeah. Do you know what that is, Michael? That's cope. That's just pure cope. Yeah. Again, I can't believe. Well, it's the end of Jacob v. Edward, isn't it? Like it's the end. I can't believe Stephanie Meyer would do this, but she really wanted everybody to be on Team Edward. So there you go.
No, yeah. Like, and that's the thing. Like, it's kind of interesting because obviously, I mean, it reminds you of the nature of a phenomenon. Because in my head, like I really associate this with the Team Edward, Team Jacob, but really it wasn't like that much of a thing.
No,
it was just like it's not a defining thing of the series. But then you think like if you imagine like let's say every single girl is reading, even if it's just like one chapter of the book or something where it really seems like he has a chance. If they're all reading it at once, suddenly it seems like it's a proper, it has actual substance to it.
Yeah. Well, I think the Team Jacob thing really kicked off after New Moon, because like in New Moon, obviously Jacob isn't that like whiny. Well, he's not as whiny compared to this movie.
Yeah, he's really cool in New Moon.
Yeah, and of course Edward isn't there, so it's like, oh, maybe there is a Edward v. Jacob thing. But then, yeah, this movie quashes that.
He's put a fork in him. He is done. And so are we. Bella and Edward talk about their upcoming wedding in their meadow. Edward questions why she is doing this, and Bella explains that she feels more herself in Edward's world and wants to be connected to him, and they decide to reveal their engagement to Bella's father. Yes, cool. I think the big thing is, like, and this is the thing, like someone said, like, oh, you know, being a vampire is horrible. There was that woman who was like, oh, I was forced to be like this, and I hate that you're choosing to be like this. She has zero reason to, like, want to be with Edward. There's nothing about him that's particularly compelling or captivating, and it does seem like being a vampire is actually, like, pretty shit. You know? Like, actually... Yeah, because I can, like, kind of get immortality, but even, like, when people talk about, you know, like, heaven, like, there's that aspect of, well, you know, once you've been alive for 1 billion years, aren't you going to kind of get, like, aren't you going to get bored? And, like, and then you've got like, if you're a vampire, you just live on this shitty planet. You always have to, like, change your life. You can never actually form any meaningful connections to everyone. So it's not even, like, a great life.
Just with other vampires, I guess.
Yeah, that's it. But, yeah, basically, like, it kind of, like, this reminds me of, like, every single person who, like, is, like, let's say in a relationship with someone in high school, and they, like, oh, like, I couldn't possibly, or, like, people, that, like, there was one kid at my school who dropped out of sixth form because he wanted to, like, run away with his girlfriend or something, and it's like, yeah, that's a smart move, like, because a sixth form relationship, that's for life.
Yeah, again.
But you know what? They're actually still together, so.
All right, well,
sucks to be me.
Well, there you go. You were wrong. Well, that's the thing. You know, it's true. It's true love. You know that. You know they're just so madly in love with each other. You know that they have to be together. I guess and that's obviously the kind of the point of a lot of romance. You know, movies. That central thing. But yeah, I'm not like other girls. It's basically what Bella says. You know, I'm not normal. You know, I don't want to have sex with dogs. You know, I'm not like that. But yeah,
so, and, new ground.
Yeah, a lot of teenage girls in the movie theater watching that, thinking, you know what? I'm just like Bella. You know, I'm not normal. You know, I don't fit in. I'm not like other girls either. She speaks to me, Stephanie Meyer, the voice of a generation there. But yeah, it's just like very unsubtle what she says there. And again, it's like the whole thing about, I actually belong in this world. That's what Bella says. It's just a justification in the end, or it's a deeper justification as to why she chooses to be with Edward. You know, just more than like, oh, I love you. I think your heart. I want to be with you. No, because that's too shallow. So Bella needs to say something deeper. Even though I just think it's kind of BS. You know, I just think it's a stupid justification. You know, oh no, I deserve to be in this world. I don't know that she does necessarily. She just seems to kind of hang around them. Like and we never see that throughout the movie. Like, which is kind of what I suggested before. Like the contrast between like her normal life and this weird fantasy life. Like that is kind of absent in the second and third movie because she doesn't like hang around with her like normal friends at all. So we don't really see that contrast. So I don't really believe what she's saying. Again, it's just Stephanie Meyer or the writer or whoever, Rosenberg, whoever wrote this is trying to like justify. It's just more than like she loves Edward. No, there's something deeper. I don't think it's there though. I don't think the deepness exists. It's very shallow. But yeah, let's conclude. Michael, you go first.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, the big problem with this movie is that it is boring. Oh, I didn't tell you the one funny thing, which is like while they were having a conversation, I literally just walked downstairs. I was like, I had my wireless headphones in. I walked downstairs. My wife was doing the dishes, and I just started repeating each line of the conversation to her as it was playing in my headphones. So technically speaking, being absolutely honest, I didn't actually watch the entire movie because during that conversation, I was like, there's nothing visually interesting happening anyway. I'm just going to go downstairs and just walk around.
She doesn't like Twilight, does she?
No, I think like to be fair, like a lot of women don't like Twilight. Like that's the thing. Like with Twilight, it's not even Anyway, in fact, I don't really know anyone who unironically likes Twilight. But yeah, basically, the movie's boring. The vampire stuff is not compelling, which it hasn't been for any of the previous two films. The romance stuff is, I think, especially uncompelling because Edward's there, so you're reminded how just uninteresting he is as a person, and Jacob has been neutered, like a dog, and is now genuinely like. Literally the best part of the movie is how hilarious it is when Jacob's like, I know you still love me. I bet you still love me. If I kiss you, you'd realize how much you love me. And it's like, no, just have, don't simp. So yeah, that's it. So overall, oh my goodness, I didn't even think about what rating I was going to give this. I genuinely think this is really bad. Like it is very boring. I'm going to give this like a middling 2. I almost want to say low 2. Like it's actually like so boring. You know what, I'm going to say low 2. I genuinely think this is like it's actually very, very, very boring, and I think that's not good for a movie to be. And yeah, I think it fails in a meaningful enough sense I can justify that rating of a low 2.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think, again, I think I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10, which is not as harsh as you, but it's still quite bad, obviously. I just, again, there's like no redeeming qualities about this movie. And what keeps it from being like a 2 maybe is just that it's not as bad as it maybe could have been. So, but yeah, it's it's just, again, that's the biggest issue is, yeah, it's boring. Like an hour and a half of just Jacob versus Edward melodrama, which again is very one-sided. We know who's going to win. It's not that interesting anyway. And then at the end, yeah, it's the climax is not that interesting either. I just struggle to believe anybody would really like this movie, but apparently millions of people did. Millions of people loved it. It's just crazy to me. Anyway, let's guess what we think Wicked for Good is going to get on Rotten Tomatoes, Michael. 3, 2, 1, 84.
90.
Okay. Right. 90.
So there's a possibility for it to be even split in the middle.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, you could take the lead by 3, of course, potentially.
Yeah. All right. Good. Yes.
Yeah. So you've gone for 90. I've gone for 84. Let's see what that gets. Anyway, Michael, what are we doing in a couple of weeks' time?
Yes, we're doing the movie Rent. You know.
Yes.
That's it. It's famous. It's a musical. We haven't done a musical yet, and I suppose that's appropriate because of Wicked.
Yeah, because of Wicked. You know, it's a musical season, right? So join us for that.
And that's the 20-year anniversary, I guess.
Yes, it is. Yes. Cool. So join us for that next time. Have you been Michael?
I've been Michael.
I've been Luke. Thanks for listening, and goodbye.
Goodbye.